Hey there, this is my submission video for The Legend of Korra, New Game Plus Extreme. New Game Plus Extreme just means that the game is on its hardest difficulty, and there are no item restrictions on the player, so in essence, the game throws everything it has at you, and you return the favor. So we'll just jump right into the first chapter here. Legend of Korra. This game is based off of the animated series of the same name, which is actually a sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender. And this game itself is developed by Platinum Games, and they're known for games like Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, Vanquished, Transformers Devastation, all very high-intensity, fast-paced, combat-focused games, and this is no exception, really. Except this game focuses on the Avatar and the bending that she can use. This first chapter is sort of a tutorial. It just introduces you to the fighting mechanics, the elements, the universe in general. And then in the cutscene that's about to be skipped, it also introduces you to Hundun, the main antagonist of the game.
The Avatar can master all four elements and bring balance to the world.
But this is all scripted. The only part that you can actually influence was the very first set of spirits that I fought. Other than that, it's all scripted. So there's no actual... nothing you can do to influence the rest of that chapter. Or the rest of that section of the chapter. But anyways, it spits you out into the pro bending mode. More of a tutorial. But this sort of introduces you to pro bending, which makes a couple appearances in the run. There are still some tricks that you can do in this mode to, go fast. One thing that happened in the first, well, right there as well, was what's called the domino effect, or we call it a double. Basically, when an opponent gets knocked into his own teammate, they get knocked back. The teammate that gets knocked into falls back in another territory automatically, and that even works in the last territory to knock him off the entire platform. That's sort of RNG, because it all depends on enemy placement, like where they end up when you knock the enemy back. But it happens quite frequently. Anyway, so Chapter 2 is the first real chapter of the game. This is New Game Plus, of course, so we already have all of our bending unlocked. And like in the initial playthrough, the main plot is that Hundun takes Korra's spirit away and is trying to destroy the Avatar. So she's trying to figure out who he is, where she can find him, how to get her bending back, all that good stuff. But because we have all our bending from New Game Plus, it is all kind of irrelevant to us. So most of these levels would cruise around on the air scooter. It's the fastest way to move, and it's also, I think, the most fashionable way to move. Whoops. Most of these initial combat encounters are completed very quickly because of the fact that we have bending.
I feel like my chi is completely gone. What did the old guy do to me?
The two most prominent bending styles that we use are firebending and airbending. Firebending because it is very fast hitting, and it has this mechanic where it looks like Korra basically teleports to an enemy within range. So it's really useful to get in range of an enemy and start attacking him right away, even if you're kind of far away, like that right there. And then airbending because it has insane area of effects properties to it, and multi-hit capabilities in its attacks, so it's good for just sort of taking control of the battlefield really, really powerfully. And then a small intermission, I guess, before we get spat out into the Naga sections of the run. I think they're actually called Naga runs. And these are similar to like Temple Run, where it's very linear. Well, it's extremely linear, but you basically run down these alleys and just get to the end of it while avoiding obstacles, collecting energy, all that good stuff. although the energy is irrelevant for us. So what we do to save time here is air boosting, which is just using air bending to give us like a super speed. And then something called Naga boosting, which is right here. Naga air boosting, whatever. And that, basically every time you do it, Naga very, very temporarily like surpasses her maximum speed. So over the course of the level, if you do it enough, you can save about 2 or 3 seconds just by doing that. And then the last thing we do to save time is just turning corners as early as possible. I know it doesn't seem like much, but you can turn corners a lot earlier than it looks like. And what that does is it gets Korra and Naga like running down the next alleyway that much sooner. So you're not wasting time traveling down that last little bit of road that you don't need to be. So all three of those things sort of combine to save decent amounts of time in these levels. And you're doing all of this while avoiding the cars and the giant trucks and the walls themselves. These levels can be scary because hitting the big semi-trucks or the walls is an instant death, and you have to restart from the last checkpoint you hit, and you have to restart at your default speed. So dying in those levels is a huge time loss, and it's always kind of scary. This chapter is my favorite chapter. It's very fun, and there's also a new skip that was just found a couple days ago, and it happens right here. So you skip that encounter entirely by basically like skipping. Where am I going? Skipping through the barrier there to teleport to this guy, and you can just continue the level from there. Right here is actually another small skip. When you break that last spirit pot, Korra normally, after the cutscene, Korra normally like spawns where that last pot was, but the way it was set up was that if we get back to like the other side of the chasm right there, Korra will spawn on the staircase. So it saves a couple seconds from having to travel back over there. Anyway, this is more of a gauntlet. You just encounter, travel to the next one, encounter, that good stuff. So there's not really too much to explain here. As you make your way up to the pavilion at the top of the staircase. Get this guy out of the way first. And the really cool thing about this game is that it's a platinum specialty, but active switching between fighting styles.
You're going straight to the hospital.
So these guys like to counter, and when they counter, it's really unfortunate because it throws off your attack pattern entirely, and it's a bit slow if they do it repeatedly. But yeah, so active switching between fighting styles while keeping like your combo in place, if that makes sense. So like you can do 2 attacks in firebending, switch to airbending, and like keep your place in that combo, which makes for some really cool fights, really fast fights as well. Like I guess the most used trick is, because firebending is so fast, we do like 2 initial attacks with firebending, switch to airbending, and finish off the combo there, because the air tornadoes appear on the 3rd hit of the combo in airbending, so you can basically skip straight to those by using firebending first. Where's that last guy at? That. So a lot of this level is sort of just traveling between encounters. But the traveling itself is kind of... It's fast. It's neat to watch. And then coming up after this fight is the most major skip in the game, I think, because it skips a boss fight, it skips a required encounter, and it skips like a whole platforming section. And that occurs right here. So we do this, come over here, core launches up there, and what she just did right there was she skipped over a barrier that you're not supposed to be able to skip over. And that saves about a minute and a half. A minute and a half, primarily. Depending on how the boss fight goes. But another case of the triple threat triads here. I usually wait to see if they counter, but he decided to play me anyways. Another huge combo that is really useful that we just used there is when you stun the enemy, you have the chance to use a finishing move. And the waterbending finishing move is insane because it has a really long hitbox. Actually, so right here is a little bit of downtime, so it'd be a good time for donations here as well. Basically, anytime Janora talks, it's a good time for donations, and she talks a lot. But, yeah, so like the waterbending finishing move, like, insta-kills enemies, basically, including the bosses. So this is another Naga run. Because I've already explained, excuse me, the basic mechanics of the Naga runs, there's not much more to them. So this would also be a good time for donations or stories or announcements, anything like that. It's basically just me focusing on not dying in these sections. Because turning corners early saves time, I take the paths that have the most turns in them, simply because it allows you to save small increments of time. Oh, actually, that's a good point. So, there are several forks, like several splits in the path that you can take in these levels. And none of them are any faster or slower than the others. So, like, you can choose to only go right, or you can choose to take every turn possible, and you'll still finish the level in the same time. You know, provided everything else being equal. So I just take the path with the most turns to save that much more time.
Shit is right there. Out of my way.
This is actually the first mega tank you see that you actually have to fight, because we skipped the first one, which means we also skipped unlocking earthbending, but we already have earthbending, so it doesn't matter. And then this guy talks for about 20 seconds or so, so we just kind of go around, destroy things, jump over cars, whatever. Whatever you want to do to spend this time.
He said he could steal your chi or something. He said order will rise from the chaos. I told you everything I know.
He just tells you like a little bit more about Hoondoon and who he is, what his plans are. But yeah, so that was chapter 4, halfway through the game. Chapter 5 is brutal. This is the hardest chapter in my opinion. There's a few things that can go wrong here. Nothing... Okay, there's one thing that can go like super bad, but...
I've had enough of outsiders busting in and ruining my home.
And we're about to unlock firebending here. And we do that by
this might be an opportunity to get
just getting a combo of 50 or more.
Focus your anger. Use it to bring back your firebending.
I need to tap into the fire inside of me.
So I just like to round them up like this. And then as soon as the core is done talking, you can start. And earthbending, or not earthbending, but airbending is extremely effective at building up combos. Ooh. Okay, whatever. Oh no. Okay, so if you get hit there, your combo resets to 0, and it's very bad. Although in New Game Plus, it's not like run ending or anything like that.
If that old man's in the spirit world,
But in like a
then
new
I'm
game
in the
category,
spirit world.
any percent, it's kind of devastating because it takes forever to build up your
I'm
combo
going
there.
to need all my bending. I really wish Mako and Bolin were here to help right now. Another firebender would be nice. Even if
Just
it is
some
my
platforming
ex-boyfriend.
here, nothing too crazy.
Starting to wonder if I should have left those spirit portals open after all.
Basically, in Chapter 5, the enemy encounters are a lot more dangerous. There's more going on in them. There's more that can go wrong.
The blizzard is getting worse. I better get moving.
Okay.
What is it about the South Pole that brings all the...
So what I like to do here
Okay.
is switch these out, and we're actually going to enter Avatar state for the first, in not only time, but
with the Avatar.
Think you can stop me? Think again.
that's fine. I actually like to end Avatar state before
I have to equip. Let's go and get him.
actually beating these guys, because entering or being in Avatar state during this fight kind of throws off the strat, because he always charges you, and you can't counter in Avatar state. Oh, that was my mistake. So each element has its own like finishing move right here. Firebending takes the longest. I meant to switch to waterbending because it's the fastest, but I just my finger didn't want to function. But it's not like a huge time loss. It's like a second or so longer.
Okay. Let's get going.
And this is our last Naga section here, so another good time to read donations or announcements, anything like that. This one's also probably the most boring in my opinion, which fits the setting because you're kind of in the middle of the South Pole. So there's not much to look at, just snow and rocks. And it really encompasses that desolate, barren wasteland, because it's just boring. So yeah, not much going on here. So yeah, I guess if you've noticed, this game is pretty straightforward, I guess. Like there's a lot of movement and combat tech that doesn't really come across very well. But a lot of the fights, they require knowledge, of course, like of the bending styles and all that. But there are certain strats that you use for each fight in particular that really make them go that much faster. Oops. Although there are a few more major skips coming up in Chapter 6 and Chapter 8 especially. However, this is probably the worst part of this game. It's a huge run killer, very dangerous, but it's not as bad as it sounds, but it can be because it's just tedious. It's the enemies have a lot of health. You have 1 health, so they can one-shot you very quickly. Their attack patterns are RNG, so you know whatever they decide to do is up to them, which could be really good, it could be really bad. And then if you are unfortunate enough to die in this boss fight, you have to restart it from the very beginning. So if you're gonna die in this boss fight, die towards the beginning. Otherwise, I've had plenty of runs where I have died with one mecha tank left, and it's brutal because you have to fight all over again. Like, that's a run killer. This specifically is why my estimate will probably be a minute or so longer than what I'm actually like very comfortable with, just because if something does go wrong here, it's pretty devastating. Although I'm making it sound worse than it is, I guess, just because this is probably the most nerve-wracking fight, but it's not. I mean, as long as you take your time and just play it safely, you'll be fine. I'll be fine, whatever. They're actually being very generous because they're not doing their most annoying attack.
That's all of them. Let's move, Naga. No time to waste.
So doing this fight under 2 minutes right there is usually the goal. So that was a totally fine fight.
Starting to wonder if I should
And here we're gonna unlock airbending finally. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of these guys because there's like 3 sets of dudes that
Remember your airbending training in the spinning games.
you can use.
You're right.
Those two sets, they throw projectiles at you, but it's pretty slow. These guys here will
It's starting to work. A little more. Yes. I've got
like
it.
close combat you basically, and it's just much faster because there's 5 of them and they attack really quickly. Then we have this little guy that pops up here. And then a little bit more downtime, so more time to read donations or announcements or anything like that. We just wait until he calls his friends and then his mama, and then the chapter ends. So I guess I'll just talk a little bit about the community in general. It's very small, but it's picking up steam, especially in the last few months. When I first started running it, there were actually, I guess there was like one other currently active runner at the time, and now there's about
He knows you're here and he's
10
controlling these spirits.
that do different categories. Any percent normal and New Game Plus Extreme are like the 2 most prominent ones. But yeah, this game is developing its own little community, and it's great to see it grow.
No. Look at the sky.
This is another fun chapter.
Something's really
It's
wrong here.
completely linear, but it's got some really fun encounters. And actually, our first instance of the quick kill is right here. Hopefully, I can pull it off. So basically, you get those air tornadoes off before this cutscene starts, and then I think what happens is the spirit gets damaged during the cutscene, and then after it finishes, the spirit is ready to heal, and he's at 0 health. And the save is about 10 seconds or so, because you don't have to actually fight the spirit because he is already ready to be healed. You can actually do that exact same strategy on the final boss to save a good chunk of time. It's a bit more harder to pull off, but it's Very cool to see. Okay. This fight can, well, it went fine. It can go a little bit faster than that if you get all 3 of those bunny spirits out on the first water bending finishing move. It's also a very dangerous fight because they can knock you out really quickly, and you have to stand on that dark energy, which constantly is draining your health. "11 seconds is pretty normal for that fight right there too. Yeah, so this is the end of chapter 6 here. Pretty quick chapter, especially after chapter 5. And then this will bring us into chapter 7, which is sort of a... I don't know, it like spits Korra into these scenarios, and it's... I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's not the same as any of the other chapters. It's like a dream sequence, basically, of different scenarios. I don't know.
Your temple? No, can't be.
Welcome, Avatar. Take your time. You have all eternity trapped in my illusion. When your previous incarnation defeated me 1,000 years ago, I vowed to exact...
So this part here, even though I am fighting these guys, there is sort of like a time cap on it, because you have to wait for Hundun to like say a certain line that triggers the end of the chapter, like if the enemies are cleared. So even if I clear the enemies out as fast as I can, I still have to wait for Hundun to finish talking. So we just kind of hang around. Actually, it doesn't happen in New Game Plus Extreme, but in like a New Game Plus Casual run, you can actually end this chapter or do that fight so fast that you soft lock the game, because Hundun, it doesn't trigger Hundun to say his next line, and then you have to restart the chapter. But it doesn't happen in New Game Plus Extreme, simply because it's too, like, it's impossible to kill the enemies that fast. So this is pro bending again, but with bunny spirits. However, there's 2 rounds of pro bending in this section, and the results of the first match doesn't matter at all. So it's much faster to let them kill you, to let them knock you off the stage, than it is to try and fight them. So we just take all the hits here, let them win, and then we'll go into round 2 regardless. It's all the same. So yep, we just try to take as many hits as we can, as fast as we can, and that's it. Then it goes into round 2, which is a free-for-all round, where there are no rules. Oops, he countered me, that's okay though.
This isn't fair. They're breaking the rules.
Oh, whoops. Died there. That's okay. Dying on this part's not too big of a loss.
This isn't fair. They're breaking the rules.
Rules?
Okay, that was much better. There are some sequences where dying is very painful, because if you die, like, if a combat encounter has a cutscene that you have to watch, like a pre-rendered cutscene, and you die during that fight, you have to watch the cutscene over again. And some of them are very long. But like that one right there, there wasn't actually a cutscene or anything, so we just kind of jump right back into the fight. So what we do here is we take off the Chi Crystal and put on healing potions, because the Chi Crystal, it halves your health, so taking it off gives us extra health. And the benefit of the chi crystal is that it keeps your chi charged at all times, which is like energy. It keeps like your bending at max power the whole time. However, because in this fight we don't actually use our chi at all, we don't use bending, so our chi never goes down. So we keep the benefits of the chi crystal even though it's unequipped. So we basically get the benefits of the chi crystal while negating the negative effects of it, of being half health. So that's a cool strat right there. And then a quick double spirit fight here. Which is basically just let the air tornadoes do all the work, because they have multi-hit ability and they last quite a while. Do a good chunk of damage. And then if this scene looks familiar, it should, because it's the very first scene in the game when you first start a new game. We're back at Chapter 1. This part here is all scripted. It's Jinora talking again for a long time, so it's a good time for donations or, you know, announcements.
Remember,
anything like that.
There is no light or dark, no good or evil.
Because there's nothing going on here. We're just...
All are one.
We can't even die here. We don't have a health bar. They can attack me as much as they want. I won't die. It's honestly just listening to Jinora talk.
The division between you and your enemies
Is an illusion. All are one. Yep. Cora slowly looks inside of herself and
To fight
finally
another is to fight
awakens.
yourself. Let go.
Bring it. Let's do this.
What I did right there is called floating Cora skip. Normally Cora's supposed to like float up into the air and look all graceful and stuff, but we skipped that part. That saves like a second or so. Keep her on the ground. And now we're in Avatar state again, the first like actual instance of Avatar state that occurs in the game, like naturally. Oh, he didn't die, wow. That's very rare. Normally all three of those mechs are taken out at once, but he had other plans apparently. And then just this guy here, which just wait for him to get back to there and then clear him out. And then on to the final boss. It'd be really neat if I could showcase the quick kill on this fight, but it's kind of hard. I mean, it's just it's very quick timing, or very small window that you can do it. And there's actually a possibility that you can make him invincible, so you have to like let him kill you and then restart the fight, or restart that part of the fight anyways. But that doesn't happen too often. If it does, it's not like huge.
Your imbalance threatens the world. Now I will set it right.
So there's a few phases to this fight. The first one was that whole group of spirits you clear out first, and then a small segment of Hundun himself, and then he calls on more spirits because he gets scared. That guy does not want to die. Wasn't he over here? Oh, he's over here. And then this triggers the second phase of the fight, which is actually the phase where you can do the quick kill. And then, like, if you don't do the quick kill or anything, then there's a third phase where you fight him one-on-one for quite a while. But provided we get the quick kill, it'll be fast. Whoops. Okay. We'll see if it works. Same concept as the one that we did on the Spirit in Chapter 6, except we do it on the boss. And it worked. Wow. So we skipped that entire third phase of the fight. And when you get Houndoom down to his last bit of health, this sequence automatically is triggered. It's like his last desperate attempt to defeat the Avatar. He goes into like his own little Avatar state mode. But this is just the next part of the fight, I guess.
Ours have grown strong for 1,000 years, but mine have been growing strong since time
Oh no.
began.
He backed away from that attack. That's okay though. He's not being very generous here. Anyways, there's that. That doesn't normally take that long. It's normally pretty quick to kill him there, but he was just being a bit dodgy. And then finally, this final quick time event sequence here that's really cool to watch. It's my favorite part in the entire game. Korra just goes ballistic on him. It's awesome to see. She uses every element in its own way. And then finishes it off with this giant boulder. But that's all scripted there. It doesn't matter if you do the combos or if you just do it once. It doesn't matter. And then yeah. So if the quick kill hadn't gone off, this fight would have extended about an extra 45 seconds, give or take, depending on how Houndoom goes. There's a couple neat backup strats that you can use that I unfortunately didn't have the capability to show off because the quick kill worked. But you can like back him into a corner and then just spam the firebending airbending combo, and it basically locks him in one spot, and you can just take his health down really quickly there. Or you can use Avatar State. So there's a few backup strats that are there in case the quick kill doesn't work. And then finally, the last pro bending match. So Houndoom's dead, the Avatar's back in normal life, and then she has to go to this this exhibition match with the wolf bats. This actually, I've lost a run on this fight before. Well, no, I've lost a PB on this fight before because my teammates did not help me at all.
You guys want to pay attention to the match and not get blasted off again?
But you know, same strats as before, except now you have teammates. And then the time is on this last hit when the camera flashes. As soon as that guy gets knocked off, that's time.
I can't choose. Besides, if you're not number one,
So that was the Legend of Korra New Game Plus Extreme. Actually was a really solid run. I didn't really mean to PB there, but I did, so that's cool. However, that is basically it. Nothing really too unfortunate happened except for a death. However, you know, factoring in deaths, factoring in some unoptimized combat, you know, you're looking at like a 41-42 minute run. My goal is always to get below 40 minutes, and I've been really consistent with that lately. So the estimate would be about 42 minutes, I think. But anyways, yeah, thanks for watching so much, and I look forward to AGDQ.
Hey, thanks for playing. Thanks for playing.
Thanks for playing.
Thanks for playing. Hey guys, seriously, thanks for playing. I know it was just one person, but I really like you and all of you.